This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather Ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another sports catastrophe on this day. And on this day, December the 20th, 1985, ABC lost their most bombastic. God, he thinks he's fantastic, but he just isn't. Commentator by the name of Harry Cosell. He left ABC officially on this day, December 20th, 1985. Now, Harry Cosell, is dead, obviously. But, he was big because he was with ABC Sports from 1953 when ABC came onto the scene as the third wheel of the of the TV universe, with NBC and CBS being around. But still, yeah, he did it for ABC from 1953 to 1985. He's known for his blustery, confident personality and smugness, if you will. He had a brassy counterpoint and all that. He had a heel-like commentary and all that. But still, he was pretty good and all that. Anyway, so, Cosell had a sports radio show. And then, in 1953, when Cosell was representing the Little League of New York, an ABC radio manager said to host a show dealing with Little League participants. And, it was fun for 3 years without pay. And then after that, he decided to leave law to become a full-time broadcaster. So, anyway, he wanted a weekly show. And Robert Pauley, president of ABC Radio, said that there never couldn't afford to develop untried talent. But if he got a sponsor, he was put on the air. Well, Cosell had a relative shirt company as a sponsor, and Speaking of Sports was born. He did his tell it like it is approach. He was actually part of the Mets pre- and post-game radio shows for a while with Rob Branca. And he didn't pull punches to take members of the 62 Mets to task. Cosell did Speaking of Sports, as well as sports reports and updates for affiliate radio stations around the country. He was still a radio guy. He was a sports anchor at ABC TV. He was ABC TV in New York from 61 to 74. However, Cosell would actually be prominent for one main reason, and that was to champion black athletes, especially Muhammad Ali. It was amazing because back in the 1960s, segregation was still a thing. Anyway, Cosell would cover Muhammad Ali / Cassius Clay. And they actually had affinity despite their personalities and complimented each other in broadcasts. Cosell supported Ali when he refused to be inducted to the military. Now, the question on my mind with Ali in the military was that, would the military allow him to go to Vietnam, or was it just some kind of publicity thing? Anyway, Cosell actually supported John Carlos and Tommy Smith when they did the Black Power salute in 1968. And at a time when his broadcasters avoided touching social, racial, or controversial issues, Cosell did not, telling it like it is. And it transformed sports broadcasting. He used his analysts and contacts to bring TV sports closer to hard news reporting and all that. Cosell did his job and all that. When the U.S. Supreme Court actually ruled in favor of Ali and Clay versus the United States because of the war, Cosell would call lots of Ali fights and all that. Anyway, it did what he could. Cosell was known for calling the thing. He didn't call Rumble in the Jungle because it was in Zaire, and I don't think Cosell would have wanted to be there. But anyway, his most famous boxing call was when he had Frazier versus Foreman for the World Heavyweight title in 73. Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Frazier was taking out taken down 6 times in the first 2 rounds before finally the referee stopped the fight. He would be huge with the boxing matches. Norton upsetting Ali in 73, Ali beating Leon Spinks to recapture the heavyweight title. His toupee was actually knocked off in front of live ABC cameras, but there was a scuffle after Scott Liddell took on Johnny Boudreaux. But Cosell would retrieve his hairpiece and replace it. Cosell would not like Ali touching his toupee and all that. He even said, Cosell, you're a phony, and that thing in your head comes from the tail of a pony. Cosell would famously end boxing in 1982 when Larry Holmes faced Tex Cobb. Cosell, halfway through the fight, would not provide more than rudimentary comments about the round number of participants. He was really disgusted and all that with boxing because Cobb was probably because Cobb was absorbing a beating and the referee won't stop the fight. But Cosell was actually a commentator when the Battle of the Sexes tennis match happened between Bobby Riggs and Billie Jean King. Dick Young hated Howard Cosell and would always stand near Cosell and shout profanity so that the audio could not be used and all that. Anyway, Cosell had a lot of problems because, he had an enormous ego and all that. But Cosell was openly big for Monday Night Football and all that. Cosell was with Frank Gifford and Dandy Don Meredith in the booth. Well, it was Keith Jackson at first, and then Gifford took over. But yeah, Cosell was contemplative of ex-athletes, the sportscasting roles. It was great that Cosell, Meredith, Gifford dynamic was huge. But for a while, Cosell's actions would actually take off the main sponsor, Ford, as Henry Ford did not like, William Henry Ford did not like Cosell's thing and wanted him off the air. But ABC said to take some time, and Ford cooled down to him and all that, and even apologized. At Monday Night Football, he was known for his halftime highlights of all the games in action and calling it and all that. There was even, what was the movie called? There was a movie, Monday Night Miracle or something. I don't know what the movie was called. Where he was having a legacy and all that. And all that. Because there was a movie about Monday Night Football. But it doesn't matter. I can't remember what it was. It talked about the early days of Monday Night Football. But anyway, yeah, Monday Night Football happened. It was distinguished. Unfortunately, one of Cosell's last games with Monday Night Football happened in 1983. At the start of the Monday night game, of the first game between the Cowboys and Redskins, Cosell made a commentary on Alvin Garrett, saying that little monkey gets loose, doesn't he? Unfortunately, though, that's a slur towards the black community, and he got trouble. All that. It laid the groundwork for Cosell's departure and all that. So, anyway, Cosell left. Alvin Garrett actually said that, I don't think he meant anything. It was just because of the small stature was the basis for his comment. Yeah. So, anyway, that was terrible and all that. But Cosell would actually be part of the Olympics for ABC and would cover Black September's thing at Munich in 1972. Providing reports directly from the Olympic Village, which was amazing. He would do such a thing. He was the main voice for boxing at the Summer Games in 76 and 84. And he liked Sugar Ray Leonard. So much so he wanted to announce many of his fights. He did not due to the Leonard Duran first fight in Montreal. He did the second one in New Orleans. Anyway, he was also known for saying the Bronx is burning, that famous phrase. But Game 2 of the 77 World Series happened where fires would erupt in the South Bronx because of owners of low-value properties burning their own real estate for insurance money. All that. So yeah, bottom of the first inning, the ABC aerial camera panned a few blocks to a building on fire. It was a dividing image of New York City in the 1970s, and he stated, "There is, ladies and gentlemen, the Bronx is burning." There was actually a miniseries on ESPN called "The Bronx is Burning" about the 1977 Yankees. Anyway, yeah, it was amazing and all that. Anyway, yeah. So that's what happened. Cosell was also known in 1980 for announcing the murder of John Lennon live on TV. All that about the John Lennon thing. Because John Lennon visited the MMF roof a couple of times. Anyway. So, anyway. Gifford prefaced the announcement saying, "I don't care what's on the line, Howard. Once the Dolphins and Patriots were going down to the wire in their game. Howard, you have got to say what we know in the booth." "Yes, we have to say it. Remember, this is just a football game, no matter who wins or loses." An unspeakable tragedy confirmed to us by ABC News in New York City. John Lennon, outside of his apartment building on the west side of New York City, the most famous, perhaps, of all the Beatles, shot twice in the back, rushed to Roosevelt Hospital, dead on arrival. Hard to go back to the game after that news flash, which in duly bound we have to take. Yeah, of course, that was the whole thing. ABC actually obtained the scoop because of an ABC employee being in the same emergency room where Lennon was. Well, of course, there was a request that Yoko Ono didn't want his death being delayed because she wanted to tell Sean. But Sean was 5 years old and was not watching TV at the time, so Yoko could break the news to Sean without fear of the news reports doing it. Even though that the news networks beat her to it. Technically, Ono was able to break the news because Sean wasn't asleep. Unfortunately Cosell actually was part of a few main episodes of The Odd Couple, feuding with Oscar Madison and all that. He even hosted a show called Saturday Night Live on ABC. That was before the NBC show took it. NBC's name had to be NBC Saturday Night or something like that. Yeah, he brought in Christopher Guest, and Bill Murray to acclaim, but it just failed. And the Bay City Rollers were there too. It was canceled after 3 months, and then the NBC show was Saturday Night Live the succeeding season. Cosell even hosted the season finale of Saturday Night Live in 1985. Anyway, Cosell would be famously known in the late 70s, early 80s for being part of the Battle of the Network Stars commentating things. He hosted all but one of the 19 specials, which was amazing. Of course, Cosell denounced boxing during that match between Larry Holmes and Tex Cobb at the Astrodome. And it was 2 weeks after Mancini's fatal fight with Doug Koo Kim. All that. And he asked a rhetorical question. "I wonder if that referee understands that he's constructing an advertisement for the abolition of the very sport he's part of." And Cosell said that he would never broadcast a pro fight again if the referee didn't stop the fight, but it didn't happen. Although it took a while for the three main commissions to make changes to that. Unfortunately, Cosell's memoir, I Never Played the Game, ruffled ABC the wrong way. And just hours before Game 1 of the '85 World Series, he was replaced. And all that. It was basically a hate writ. And all that. So, yeah. So, Cosell was replaced by Tim McCarver to join Al Michaels and Jim Palmer on the broadcast. And all that. He tried his best and all that. Cosell died of lung cancer. Well, he was a long-time smoker and all that, and he had a cancerous tumor in his chest. His wife of 46 years died of a heart attack in 1990, so he retired from the public eye and all that. But he's still a legacy and all that. It's just amazing. In fact, Cosell's nephew Greg is a senior producer at NFL Films, and Cosell's grandson Colin, who actually is good friends with Blue Shirt Underground show, was named public address announcer at Citi Field. And Cosell wanted to enunciate Todd Frazier's last name the same way Cosell did with Joe Frazier's name. Todd Frazier, Frazier, Frazier. So yeah, he was in a few movies and all that, but not much. I know it's a long rant about Harry Cosell, but since I'm not doing a birthday boy about Harry Cosell and all that, might as well give it to you and give Cosell's thing of telling it like it is. Believe it. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.